I don't know what I'm up against. I don't know what it's all about. I got so much to think about. Hey, how you doing? I'm glad that you came in at the right point because I can't hit that high hey. Came in at my pitch cutoff right there. How you doing? Welcome to another happy episode of my Partridge Family collection. I'm your crazy host, Patty, and I'm just glad that you're here with me. Do you remember these little transistor radios? High tech mono earbud there. Hey kids, this was the rage, man. If you were walking down the street and you were like, "Hey, I think I love you," I mean, you were so popular. Believe it or not, you were very popular. I don't have any batteries. I wasn't really listening, but those were the days when we can listen to the Partridge Family on the radio on our AM 93 KHD here in LA. We had that, but yeah, that was a great time. I don't know if this. I was looking for something really cool in my closet this morning, and this fell out. Doesn't that happen to you when you're digging through stuff and old transistor radio falls out of the closet? I don't have a battery in here. It only takes one battery. I think it's like a D or something. But maybe one day we'll test it and see. Maybe wouldn't that be cool? That's like an old Twilight Zone episode where you like plug in an old radio and it like plays like the old timey music. The things I think about. Anyway, so I have a couple items on this episode that I want to share with you that I kind of shared with you on an old video. I think I did. It was like cool stuff #1, a couple, maybe a year and a half ago. I was like doing this show for like 2 years now. I think a little over 2 years. It's crazy. But I had a beat up one, and I just kind of went over it a little bit. So. And what it is the two. Well, let me just show you right now. You remember this? This is my junky David Cassidy ukulele, but I also have a very cool one in the box and the full size guitar, the red guitar, and so I wanted to share those with you. We'll take a look at them. We'll talk about Carnival Toys, who produce these toy guitars, and then also some other cool things that I have. Related to this. So we'll do that. Then I have a cool retro review. One of my favorite things that has come out, I want to say in the past year and a half or so. I'm so excited. I'm waiting to do a review on it. So stay tuned for that at the end of the episode. Some show notes real quick before we get into this episode. My Partridge Family collection has a website. I don't know if you've been able to visit it yet. It's mypartridgefamilycollection.com. Has all the links to the YouTube, to the podcast, our social media links. It has some pictures there that you may not have seen. We have a blog that's doing really well, getting a lot of subscriptions. I hope you subscribe to the blog and kind of sharing some different things. So let's go to the overhead. There's the one item, the big guitar that I have that I want to share with you is too big for the overhead, so we'll have to go into the other room and kind of share it with you. And then also, we'll talk about Carnival Toys, the company, and some other cool facts about the Carnival toy guitars with David Cassidy. Such a great item. If you're a vintage toy collector, you're gonna love this. If you're a David Cassidy Partridge Family fan, you're gonna love this. Or if you're just a kid from the 70s and you remember this, I think you're gonna love it too. So let's go over to the overhead and talk a little bit about these Carnival Toys, David Cassidy toy guitars. Let's do it. Let me get my headset in here. Get ready for it. Well, before we take a look at these very cool David Cassidy toy guitars, I thought it'd be kind of neat to look at some vintage advertisements. And I just love the vintage ads. There's nothing like them. And so I have a couple that I thought I'd share with you, and you could see this is from, I think this is from a music catalog. It's got got something here. I'm not sure if it's from like a JC. I don't think it's JC Penney. I think it's maybe a music store advertisement. But anyway, we'll take a look at this. Is look at this kid. He's rocking to the David Cassidy guitar, which I have, which we'll look at in a minute. So let's take a closer look at this and read the marketing text here. Love this old time marketing text. Super as a gift from David. Double cutaway guitar. Looks just like his. Has his picture and signature. $6.66. Pick a guitar like David's and look like you really know the musical score. Not only does this double cutaway beauty look like the guitar he plays on TV's The Partridge Family, it's got David's full color picture and his signature on the white scratch plate. Sounds great too. Clear and mellow. The design includes 3 nylon and 3 wire wound strings, metal gear pegs for micro tuning, accurately fretted fingerboard and position marks, complete with shoulder cord, instruction book, pick, molded plastic body and neck, 30 inches long, and it says it ships the shipping weight is 3 pounds 8 ounces, $6.66, which I think this ad is from like 1973, I think 72 or 73. So I think that in today's market, I think $6.66 equals about $50. I figured, $44 over 52 years. The dollar has an inflation rate of about 3.9%. I always kind of times 7 when I'm looking at some of these old early 70s items. So I think about $50 today. And we'll take a look at it and you'll see that I think it is worth about $50. I think that's what you would pay if it was at Target. And David Cassidy was at his heyday and the Partridge Family was still on the air. So that's one ad that I have. Let me show you another one that's a little bit cooler because it's mostly in color. This is actually a JCPenney catalog. Put that here. These old record players, drum sets. Very cool. Junior rock enthusiasts will groove on these drum sets and guitars. And then we can see the red. It's a more accurate guitar than the white one that we'll take a look at. And so it's number 5, so we have to turn the page to read the marketing text here. And here it is. Let's see what's on the back here. I got some old-timey organs. My mom had one of these. She had like one of these, I think. Very cool. That was the thing to have in the 70s. Those old. So let's take a look. Here we can look at the marketing text. Number 5. Deluxe David Cassidy guitar. 3 nylon and low clear tones. Polystyrene construction with a sunburst finish on red guitar face. Decorated with David's picture and signature. Measures 30 3/4 inches. Instruction book included. This price is a little bit higher at $8.88, and I think it's because this advertisement's from, actually it has the date right here, 1975, so a little bit of inflation there. Yeah, this was, and it's curious that they have this advertised in 1975 when the Partridge Family has gone off the air. David Cassidy's star didn't shine as bright in 75 as it did like in 70 to 74 when these guitars came out. So interesting that it's still popular with the kids. And then also on this page, this advertisement, I don't know if you saw it, they have the ukulele style that they're still advertising. So it's 1975. They're still marketing the David Cassidy guitars, which is so great. Just shows you how popular he was. Even after the Partridge Family went off the air, he could still sell the toy guitars. Carnival Toys is obviously no longer in business, and we'll talk a little bit more about them, but they did a lot of other guitars too. In fact, you can see this Mickey Mouse guitar. In the late 70s, they did like Kiss and Village People. Sean Cassidy, I believe, had a guitar from Carnival Toys. So they did the popular artists at the time. But let's take a look at the ukulele style marketing text here. David Cassidy guitar, styled on the cutaway style and model used by David Cassidy. I beg to differ on that, but okay. It was marketing text. Decorated with his signature and picture on ivory face, accurately fretted fingerboard and position marks, precision friction pegs, pick included, polystyrene 21 inches long. Looks like the weight is less than a pound. But yeah, it's very light. And they have this listed at $2.88. So I think it would be like maybe $15, $16 today. Still good price, I think, for the little ukulele, which we'll look at right now. I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing some of these old advertisements. So let's take a look at the guitars. What are we wasting time for? Let's do it. All right, so here's the ukulele style David Cassidy Toy Guitar by Carnival Toys. Carnival Toys is an interesting company. There's not a lot of information out there on them. They no longer exist. They're defunct. They think their license ran out in the late 80s, like 87 or so, and then it just went away. But there's not a lot of information as far as like who founded the company. You can go back to like the 50s and 60s and see toy guitars produced by Carnival Toys. But that's about it. There's not a paper trail. Let's put it that way. Even in today's world of the internet, it's really difficult to find information on this. Of course, they got the D for David there. And then it says designed and made for musical enjoyment. And I've got the box is a little worn. There's some water damage you can see here. But still, it's in the box. So, I mean, that's pretty good. And then the bottom of the box says the sound of music and fun, ... Talked about that ... on one of our episodes. It says Carnival in their trademarked font. There is another Carnival Toys out of Italy that's been around since the early 70s. So don't get that company confused with this company, Carnival Toys, which was out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then we're still looking at the side of the box. The Partridge Family, David Cassidy. My dog's barking in the background, of course. I love this funky font. Guitar. It's good. Even the David Cassidy font looks great. But the real thing that you want to look at, especially if you're collecting these, is the ends of the box. Because it has the catalog number, which on this one is number 844. It has the Carnival Toys logo, which kind of looks like a Colorforms logo, right? They've got the little clown hat. You have the Partridge Family logo. And then it says David Cassidy Guitar, Carnival Toy, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Did I say Bridgeport originally? Yeah, Bridgeport, Connecticut is where the toy company was, made in USA. Now, were they acquired or were they just absolved by another toy company? That's possible, but there's just no paper trail on it. I guess if you wanted to do a really deep dive, you could go and look at like the Connecticut records or maybe Bridgeport News archives if you really wanted to try to find out more about Carnival Toys. It would be interesting, though, to know more about it. So if you're from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you know about this company, let us know. Not a big, long paper trail, especially even on the internet. Just not a lot of information other than they were putting out these great guitars by all these musical acts. And they had licenses to do so, obviously, because they have the Partridge Family logo. Right, they have David Cassidy's likeness there. And I'm sure they sold a ton of these at $3 a pop. It could have been one of those things like we talked about with Johnny Lightning, where they just let the license go, or they could have been absolved by another toy company and they just didn't do a lot of fanfare around it and just kind of like folded it up. But pretty cool. Let's go to the other room now and we'll take a look at the full-size red guitar. So much fun. One thing I did want to share with you though before we take a look at the big red guitar, I'm just going to call it that from now on, the big red guitar, is the ukulele, the differences in the two that I have. So it's interesting that the more junky one that I have, that's probably not worth a whole lot of money because it's missing some things, is the picture and actually the overall condition, if you look at it, put this here, is a lot better than the one that I have in the box. Look at how faded that picture of David is. So I just thought that was interesting. Now, some of you might think, well, why don't you restring this one with this? Put the pegs and do the pegs on this one and move them to here and restring it. I won't do that because this is in the original box. I don't want to make believe like this came from. And even the fret, you can see the markers there are very clear when this one is kind of faded. I wouldn't do that. I would much rather just get an old like Mickey Mouse one, or I don't know, one that probably doesn't mean a lot to me, and restring this old one. But look at the pictures. I think it's cool to see because this is so faded, but look at how vibrant that one is. Like that would be a selling point to me. When you saw this guitar in the store, this is pretty much probably more accurate as to what the picture looked like. So very cool. Let's look at the big guitar now. 30 inches of guitar glory. That's all I have to say. This is a great piece of vintage toy memorabilia. I think if you have this in the box, you're doing great. If you have the booklet and the pick, which I don't have, and the cord, actually, which is basically the guitar strap, you'd be doing really well. A lot of the things I have, as you guys know, I have from my childhood. Every once in a while, like something like this comes along, and, you know, as a collector, you're like, I love this. I must have, just to have in my collection, and to relive some of the memories. You know, I had this as a kid. We played make-believe, played like we were the Partridge Family in the garage. You know, bring out the little record player, plug it in. So it has a lot of memories for me. But so when I saw it in this condition, I was pretty jazzed to have it. You can see the picture too of David isn't great. And another thing, if you are collecting these, it's really difficult to find like the scratch pad that's perfectly clean, that's perfectly perfect, I guess. So having that, like, this is not bad, let me tell you, from some of the other conditioned guitars I've seen. And so we'll take a quick look. This is basically the same box design as the ukulele. It says designed and made for musical enjoyment. David Cassidy guitar with precision geared tuning. You could see it does look pretty good. Got a nice white scratch pad with David's picture. You have the Partridge Family logo. I think I love you. Yours, David. Very clean, very good condition in the box. The sound of music and fun. So pretty much the same as the ukulele. I'll take a look at the side here. Show you that guitar. The Partridge Family's David Cassidy on the side. And then the Carnival logo. There's nothing on the back. But again, the end side is the important side because it has your catalog number for this, 980. And again, the Carnival toy logo, which is a little bit more detailed. It has Carnival, it says Carnival product. And the clown is a little bit more detailed. Looks less like the Color Forms logo. And it says deluxe, David Cassidy guitar, Carnival toy, Bridgeport, Connecticut, made in the USA. That's another important fact. If you are collecting these guitars, you want to make sure that it says Bridgeport, Connecticut, it says made in USA. You don't want to knock off, and you don't want to be confused with some other Carnival toys that are out there, brands, most notably the one in Italy. But I don't think they make toy guitars. I think they make like masks and things like that, like costumes. You'll take a little closer look at this. It was just fun. They were fun to have, fun to pretend to be David, strumming the guitar in the garage. Those were the days, right? I think this needs to be tuned. And I know I'm playing it left-handed. I'm left-handed on my guitar, so I'm gonna try to figure out how to do the A chord and D chord D minor, actually, on I Think I Love You. Upside down, strum up. Yeah, I took it out of the box too. Why not? Sometimes I like to play with it. Great guitar, right? You can look at it. I didn't really look at the back of it. I guess we could. It looks good though, right? Look at those keys. Yeah, it's really nice guitar. It's got some weight to it too. So I mean, it's in the day. This was the guitar to have. Um, and like I said, I had a cousin who we were born the same day, same year, and he loved the Partridge Family as much as I did, and he wore the fringed vest. Thought he was so cool. And I remember I'd take my little record player into the garage and we'd plug it in, and he'd have his guitar, and I'd have my guitar, and he'd say, "I'm Keith," and I'd say, "No, I'm Keith." And he said, "I'm the boy. You should be Lori." And I'm like, "No, I want to be Keith." That was the beauty of the Partridge Family. It was almost genderless, almost, right? They had like these great toys that are perfect for girls or boys, just like the Slinky commercial. And the music was great. I always won. I was always Keith because it was my garage and my record player. So that was it. But we had so much fun. Brings back so many memories. Does it bring back memories for you? I know it does. Did you have the guitar? Did you have the ukulele? Um, You can't beat it. I mean, the guy who sold me this guitar, he was, I'll tell you, I paid $900 for it. It was pricey, but in the box, I think it's worth it. Without the pick, without the booklet, without the guitar strap or the rope that went on it, it was, it's still a pricey item. And then once he sold it to me, I guess some other guy approached him and said, "Do you still have that guitar? I'll give you substantially more than what this person paid for it." And I was like, "Dude, you already sold it to me. I'm not giving it back to you." So, one of my prized possessions, I have to say. So that was great fun, right? To look at those guitars. I've been waiting to share those with you and kind of talk a little bit about Carnival toys, which, like I said, not a lot of information out there, but still pretty cool, I think, to go back and look at some of those vintage toy companies. If you know anything, like I said, if you're from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you know anything about Carnival toys, let me know. It's interesting, interesting to find out about these old toy companies that just kind of disappear, and they had such great toys, and we're still buying them, we're still talking about them and dissecting them, and so it's great fun. And so now, guys, how about it, let's do a retro review. Retro review time. So excited. What a great episode this is. Look at that, the toy guitars, transistor radio, David Cassidy, Partridge Family. Oh my goodness. And the hits keep rolling, because on this retro review, I'm spotlighting one of my favorite books of the 21st century. Shows you where my my literature tastes stand. Is Ann Moses' Meow, My Groovy Life with Tiger Beat's Teen Idols. Ann Moses was the editor of Tiger Beat magazine back in the heyday. And this is such an amazing book, written by Ann Moses and Ann Wicker, I should add. Look at how great this book is. It's so thick. There's so many great stories. There's so many great pictures, and pictures from her collection. And she had some great relationships with these teen idols. Bobby Sherman, Davy Jones, Donny Osmond, of course, David Cassidy, so many more. All the bands, she established great relationships with them and rapport, and she has such a great life story. When she worked at Disneyland, she got to interview a lot of the bands that played at Disneyland. Those were the days when Disneyland had bands. I remember seeing the Osmond Brothers and Herman's Hermits at Disneyland. As a Southern California kid, that's the other thing that I was drawn to with her story. She is from Southern California, worked at Disneyland, did all the interviews, and then her career just kind of snowballed from there. She ended up at Tiger Beat magazine. She talks about so many things. Her relationship with the Loffer, the publication owner, and I mean, if you think about it, she was a teenager when she became an editor, when she was writing for Tiger Beat. And so she was, marketing to us. Like she knew us because she was us. She was a teenager and we were a teen, preteen. But it's such a great book. She talks about the rivalry between Tiger Beat and 16 magazine. Like there was a heated rivalry between the editors too. So great. And then, also Tiger Beat and the Partridge Family were so intertwined. I don't know if they had a contract, but the writers of Tiger Beat and Amos is one of them, obviously, that they were allowed on set and they would interview them. And also, David and Susan had columns in Tiger Beat. Cecilia Bonaducci was the president of the Partridge Family fan club, and she had a column in Tiger Beat. And then also, they produced the Partridge Family fan club. A couple of videos that we've done on the Partridge Family fan club, you see it's by Tiger Beat. And then also the official Partridge Family magazine was published by Tiger Beat as well. I have all those magazines, by the way, and we'll take a look at them on another show. But just so intertwined, I guess. If you think about the Partridge Family and Tiger Beat, the way that they worked together, they really helped boost each other's popularity. David Cassidy was always on the cover. If he wasn't on the cover, he was, all over the inside of the magazine with pictures and columns and articles and posters and things like that. And then also, the Partridge Family helped sell Tiger Beat magazines because you had David on the cover and things. So they kind of helped each other. They worked together. I really enjoyed this book for all of those things, for all the behind the scenes, the Partridge Family story. She has a lot of stories about Susan Day, and how she coped with fame at the time. She was very young. And then, she talks about like the early days of the Partridge Family on set and how Susan's chaperone was always around because Susan was very young. And then also another interesting story that she talks about in her book is that David was always very accessible to her in the early days, but then like towards the last season of the show, she would show up on set, or Sharon Lee, her editor, another editor at Tiger Beat, they would show up on set expecting to get an interview with David. But, at the time, David was, rehearsing the show, filming the show, and then recording records for the Partridge Family and for himself, for his solo career. He was touring. Everyone wanted a piece of David at the time. And she talks about how, like, those later years, he was kind of more elusive. Like, he would, like, as soon as the director on the Partridge Family set yelled cut, David would scurry back into his dressing room and would be like, hey, we need to talk to this. Yeah, he needs to be accessible to us. So she kind of had to push back a little bit on that. But she has so many great stories about David, so heartfelt, just very intimate stories. And, she had a great, like she did with all these teen idols at the time, which is so amazing. She had such great relationships with them. And sometimes inviting them over for dinner at her apartment. She has pictures of her cooking for the Osmond brothers. And she has a really great story about one of David's dogs who had puppies, and how her mom, Ann Moses' mom, actually cared for those puppies. And then they turned it into a contest. Like, win one of David Cassidy's dog's puppies. That's so great. But he was very appreciative of that, because of course he loved his animals, and to have somebody taking care of his animals for him was great. So just story after story about David, beautiful stories, heartwarming stories. I mean, so great. And she had nothing but great things to say about everybody, really, about David Cassidy and Susan Day. And, there were some jerks back in those days, right? There were some people who, remain nameless, Mike Nesmith, who were who were kind of jerky, but David wasn't one of them. She has so many great things to say about David, and it's very sincere. You can tell. But it's a great book. One of my favorite things past few years that came out, Ann Moses. And I'll tell you something I probably shouldn't tell you, but I'll tell you, we're friends. I've been in contact with Ann Moses to try to get her to come on the show. And she's been very, very kind, very gracious. And she's just so busy. She's got a lot of she's still out there. She's still active. She was doing this tour with, I think it might still be going on as far as this at this time of this recording, where she's interviewing Donny Osmond. Like they've been going on tour and she's interviewing Donny, and it's like a big thing. So she's busy. I follow her on Instagram. She's always got stuff she's doing. She's still writing. And of course, she has a life outside of the whole teen idol thing. But she has been very nice. And she keeps, giving me like the, yeah, well, I'll come on. Just, give me, I've got to finish this project first. And then, so I figure if I keep hounding, I mean, reminding her like a little gnat, come on the show, Anne. I'm sure we'll get her on, because I would love to. There's some things that she doesn't mention in this book that I would love to know. Like, like her notes. I wonder if she still has all her notes from all her interviews. She has pictures of herself like interviewing artists and things, and she's got her little notepad. But I'm sure she had a tape recorder or something. Like, do you still have all those recordings, Anne? Even the notes would be cool. I mean, she can make a whole book of all her notes, the interview notes. I mean, I would love to know if she's got all those. That'd be awesome to look at. But so many things. So I appreciate Ann Moses for even like acknowledging me and and giving me the time of day. But hopefully we get her on the show. But in the meantime, I would say, if you don't have the book, go out and buy it. I think it's on ebook, but you got I don't know, I'm not sure if it's on audiobook, but you got to get, just for the pictures. Just there's David's Tugs. So great. Oh, I have to rate it. Of course. It's none other than 5 partridges. 5 partridges for Ann Moses and Ann Wicker. Meow. My Groovy Life with Tiger Beats Teen Idols. I love this book. Such a great book. I'm so glad to finally review it. I've been talking about it. I mean, we mention it all the time. Quote her and things. Also, she has a little it's kind of like a mix of a memoir, and a tell-all. Of course, like she's telling all of the stories behind the scenes of all these teen idols. But also, she has a little side story of a relationship that she had, like a romantic relationship with one of the Bee Gees. And it's kind of like a heartbreaking story, really. But you'll have to read it. It's one of those like side stories that actually weaves itself throughout the whole book. It's very well written. This book is very well written. It's got it's funny, it's heartfelt. You'll learn a lot. It's interesting, those behind the scenes stories at Tiger Beats. I mean, I can't get enough of that stuff. I think I mentioned it before, how she put in her book how whenever you bought something from Tiger Beat, whether it was like a book or like David's Love Beads, or I think they even did it with the fan club, they would they'd always put like, add 25 cents for express shipping and handling, and I thought, oh, it gets there faster, right? And I always did that, put an extra quarter in. And Anne in her book says that there was no express delivery. There was just a way to get an extra quarter out of the kids, which I thought, no. So stuff like that I love. And I mean, it was part of our childhood, right? Tiger Beat, Partridge Family, they absolutely went, and I was going to say kind of went together. They absolutely went together. I don't think you could have had one without the other. But great book, 5 partridges. Highly recommend this book. So great. So great to retro review the book on this episode. And we got to talk about the guitars, talk about Carnival toys as much as we know about it. And so cool. And I'm just so grateful for you guys to being here and enjoying the craziness of this show as I, play where's my transistor radio, pretend to play my guitar and everything. So you guys are a blast. I'm glad I get to share my collection with you guys. And I'm glad that you're still enjoying it and telling your friends and family about my Partridge Family collection. Remember to follow the mypartridgefamilycollection.com, but also hit the thumbs up. Let me know that you like this episode. Leave a comment. I love to know your comments. Let me know if you know anything about Carnival toys, or let me know if you read Ann Moses' book and if you liked it, and tell me your thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and of course subscribe and do all those things, and that helps other Partridge Family fans find the show as well. So thank you. I look forward to the next video, and hope you have a happy day. We'll see you on the road Wishing you all peace, love, and happiness. See you next time.